Hi, I'm Melissa Winters and I'm here at the Paducah Quilt Week with Elisabeth Frolet, who won first place in our small wall quilts hand quilted category sponsored by Panasonic. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So crazy quilts are so amazing and they always tell a little bit of a story. So what's the story behind this quilt?
This is a story of what I like to do and all my hobbies, and which is gardening, teaching, quilting, and music. And also is the story of my family, my husband and myself. We have silhouettes, and then my children. So basically that's what it is, the story of my life.
Oh, well that's always a lot to
Yes, there's a lot to say,
there.
yes.
Now you were also teaching a class when you were doing this.
Yes, actually I'm teaching an embroidery class at Little Quilts in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and they wanted, my students that I've had for a long time, wanted a quilt, a new quilt, an original quilt. So that's the reason for the quilt.
And so on each block you actually show a stitch that you were teaching them, is that correct?
Yes, on each block there is the design of a stitch and the needle, and the stitch is not completed yet, but it shows how to make it. And so by just looking at it, you know how to make that stitch. So every block has a stitch to remind me or to explain that it was a teaching quilt.
Great. And so you piece the big blocks together.
Yes.
Machine.
Yes.
But everything else is hand.
Yes. Yes.
So hand embroidery, hand borders.
Yeah, and applique on the borders with embroidery, and the silhouettes have been painted with oil pastel.
Oh, okay. So did you do hand painting with the?
Well, it's a technique in quilting to use. When you use oil pastel, you use a piece of fabric and you put the paint on the fabric, and then you apply on the fabric. You don't use a paintbrush.
Okay, but it wasn't like a photo transfer or anything?
No.
It was
so
all
I
hand
drew
paint.
myself. I drew the silhouette and then painted the. I drew the outline, and then with oil pastel, I put the color inside.
Wow, you're definitely a very good artist.
Thank you.
I don't think I could ever do one of those.
Oh, I'm sure you could.
Now, on your applique, was it needle turn or?
Needle turn, all of it, yes. And then I started with the applique and then the embroidery to finish it off.
And did you find you had any difficulties or anything?
Always.
Always.
I mean, I find everything difficult. If I find the most important is the consistency. I find in work like this. So the difficulty is to be consistent, and so that a block does not stand out as coming from somewhere else that does not belong to the quilt. So yeah, that's.
And do you have a favorite thread that you like to use, or?
I use the DMC because they have such a variety, so readily available, and I use Valdani.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so both of those really nothing else but Valdani and DMC. Yeah, and some silk threads.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. With the flowers
silk
and
ribbons,
everything.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful quilt.
Thank you so much.
So congratulations and thanks for being with us today.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.